Um, okay, so what about the undercard then? Because I mean, ahead of last night, you look at the fights, and there's three decent quality matchups on there. Um, Unfortunately, I happened to see Ramos versus Lubin, was it, which wasn't very good, and I was already very tired because instead of having a nap and waking up, I decided to stay up throughout and try and watch the whole thing. And I
Power
was
through.
I was flagging, man. I was flagging. I was having a coffee at 3:30 in the morning, trying to stay awake. And then there was a crazy decision at the end of it, was it? Alex, give us your thoughts on that one.
How that card started. Those first two fights, I thought they were very engaging. Great papers. I'm sorry, great fights on paper to make. And then when you saw this fight as the co-main event, which I felt Ugas Barrios should have been co-main event just based off their merit and who they faced and whatever. But this was a great fight. Huge ramifications for the junior middleweight division. Another guy. And this guy is probably going to be seen as the one to challenge, to be in line to challenge. Jamel or Tzu or vacant belt, whatever the case may be. And yeah, I thought for sure it was going to be an exciting fight. I picked Ramos to win by stoppage. I know Lubin quality, and I just felt that he could get dragged in a dogfight, and he didn't. Ramos had a great start, was putting Lubin's back to the ropes, hitting him to the body, throwing in combination to the body, which is always such a huge plus. You would expect him to wear Lubin down, and I don't know if Ramos started cruising or the pace and skill was causing him to be drained of energy. But I got to give it a Lubin. Great jab, picked his spots really well. Need to throw more combinations himself because when he did great work. Kevin Cunningham was really trying to press him to do such. 1-2 right hook, uppercut. He's telling him constantly, you got to follow up to that jab because the jab was landing. I had it a draw. I am in the minority. I feel I've been told, and that's okay. I just felt the commentary we had here in the states was ignoring that jab that was landing during all the lulls of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't giving him much credit. But I don't think it was a bad fight. It wasn't very engaging. That's my word of the day. I think when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to fights. I felt that they both had such great qualities that it was offsetting each other to really go for it. And that's what happens sometimes when you get these guys that are the top level, but maybe are unsure of certain things. Lubin, maybe his chin, his ability to take on someone as tall as strong as Ramos, and Ramos never facing a guy of this quality. So unfortunately, it wasn't the best TV. I don't think stock should fall for Ramos because he wasn't the possible wrong end of the decision. But also, I do want to point out, even though I was okay with Lubin winning, I am not okay with 117, 111 because that means you had to find like what three swing rounds that you just all gave to Lubin, and that's unfair to the fight. That's unfair to Ramos, and that's unfair to Lubin because now, even though that he got the decision, it's most everyone's saying robbery, controversial, and basically he's not going to deserve. He doesn't deserve to be in the spot he is, or deserve to be in the next fight. According to it being viewed as it is controversial and or robbery.
Yeah, that was the outcry on Twitter. I wasn't paying full attention to that fight. To be honest, I was trying to just stay awake. That was eating up concentration, and so I was doing a lot of looking around on Twitter and stuff. And that seemed to be, when the scores were read out, the commentary seemed to be sure of the result for Ramos, and then when the scores are being read and then the winner announced, I think it took me like about maybe 10 seconds to realize, oh, actually, they just announced Lubin won, not Ramos. I was just totally lost, and then I went to Twitter and everyone was kind of doing the same thing. Um, so yeah, quite interesting. I did actually put in the scores that the judges put out onto our system. Maybe we can have a look into that at some point. And I think that the judges always only agreed on 2 rounds out of 12. Like as a unanimous or something along the line. So it shows you that there's lots of swing in there possibly, potentially. Um, but yeah, Josh, did you have any thoughts on that particular fight?
Yeah, not a ton to add other than I know I was in the same neighborhood as Alex. I thought that Ramos would eventually break Lubin down and win the contest. I was actually at a birthday event last night, so my attention wasn't 100% dialed into the fight, and I didn't have sound or anything of that nature on. But from what I saw, I thought maybe Ramos looked to be the more I guess, I thought he was winning the fight. I would say it's hard to really throw a lot of actual commentary towards the exact nature by which, but he seemed to be doing a bit more there when I was looking at it. But hey, that could have been the earlier rounds, as Alex was mentioning. So having seen some of the other stuff that Alex has scored, then I'd imagine, yeah, he was looking at it with a thorough lens. So it was probably closer to what he saw than what I can surmise just from kind of glancing in at points and not being able to be dialed in for each round. But certainly, I expected Ramos to win. I certainly expected him to win, and he would have made for a very interesting fight with Zoo versus Charlo. Not that Lubin won't, but a lot of miles on the road or the what do you call it, barometer or whatever it may be for Lubin. He has a lot of mileage as far as fights in hard press contests. So it'll be interesting just to see how he capitalizes off of this and whether he's going to actually get a title shot.
Hmm. Just while you were talking there, I just got up our system. It's on the screen now. Because I did import the judging round by round scores. We can see there the three totals. I mean, John McHale wasn't too far off the outrage scorecard, which a lot of people was complaining about. If you take their average round by round kind of majority rules, it would be 116 to 112 for Lubin. So they're all in that direction. But you see there on the third line down where there was only unanimous in 4 of those rounds and split in 8 between the 3 judges. So I guess kind of goes to show that that there was a lot of swing rounds and there was close rounds as well. So just a nice feature of our system to highlight. Might as well get it out there.